Recite with me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم قل لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة، واليوم حافظا وكائدا وناظر ودليلا وعين حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Millions of people around the world, around this time period, gather together and remember, recognize, and commemorate a legend that made the ultimate stand more than 1400 years ago. And this man was Hussain, the grandson of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Imam Hussain was that individual. He saw his grandfather embed the fundamentals of tolerance, forbearance, patience within the society. His grandfather removed hate and replaced it with love. He saw his grandfather take out ignorance and replace it with knowledge. He taught people how to be respectful, intellectual, sensible. And the reform that his grandfather brought in that state was remarkable. However, 50 years later, that same ignorance, that same hate, that same cruelty started creeping back in the Muslim empire. An oppressive regime had taken over, and his grandson, Imam Hussain, he saw the fundamentals of Islam and he said, while I'm here, I refuse to accept any of this. I will not tolerate oppression. I will not tolerate cruelty. I will not tolerate injustice.
لبيك يا حسين
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 لبيك يا حسين.
And so Imam Hussain, with his own words, he states, I'm not trying to cause any mischief, I'm just leaving to reform the ummah, the society of my grandfather, revive the basic principles of what my grandfather had taught the people, which was Islam is a religion of love, sensibility, intellectuality, knowledge, generosity, and all of these things. And he left with 72 companions, his brothers, his sisters, his daughters, his sons, and the women of the house. And he marched. And after a long and tedious journey, he finally reached the land of Karbala. He reached the land of Karbala, which is also in city in Iraq right now. And when he got there, let's set the setting. It was scorching hot. The temperatures were very high. It was very dry, very humid. And one of the most valuable things anyone could have in such a land is water. However, after a few days, the water supply to his camp was cut off. His children were thirsty for 3 days in such extreme conditions. Dehydration increased. However, Imam Hussain, physically and emotionally, he was staunch, he was firm, and he was ready to revive the ummah, the society of his grandfather. And so you find that even his children, even his daughters, They understood his message and they were cooperative. His soldiers were just like him. They were ready to sacrifice even their lives to rejuvenate and revive freedom and take out injustice and bring equality to the society. And you find that after 3 days of thirst, a companion after another asked the Imam Hussain. He said, "Can I go sacrifice myself? Let me go sacrifice myself for you and revive this ummah." He went there, and one after another, Imam Hussain. Imagine a man in the scorching temperatures, running back and forth and picking up bodies of his companions, one after another. He would go to the battlefield, come back, pick up his body, and he would do this until his own brother came up to him. And he said, "Brother, let me go." He went and he let his brother go. Then his nephew came and he let his nephew go. Then his own sons came. And when his son was Ali al-Akbar, when he was leaving, do you know what Imam Hussain did? When his son got on the horse, he started running behind him. He started running behind him, and his son turns around and says, "Father, I thought you had let him go." But Imam Hussain replies to him saying, "If you had a son like me, you would understand." And his son was martyred. And then a 6-month-old infant, you might imagine a child, he might get some water after 3 days, but he took his 6-month-old infant and told the enemies, who were in thousands, saying, "This baby has done nothing to you. At least give him water. If you think I'll take the water instead, I'll leave him on the ground." And in return, they shot an arrow to the baby. And when Imam Hussain, when he was going back to the tent, he would take 7 steps forward and 7 steps back, 7 steps forward, 7 steps back. And this is what makes Imam Hussein's sacrifice and his uprising, his revolution, so powerful that even after 1400 years, 1.5 billion individuals come out of their houses and remember this man of what he did.
لبيك يا حسين
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 لبيك يا حسين.
His revolution is so mesmerizing that great philosophers and great thinkers like Charles Dickinson and Mahatma Gandhi states that if I had soldiers like Hussain, 72 soldiers like Hussain, I would take over India in 24 hours. His revolution and his uprising was so phenomenal that it transcended, his message transcended the barriers of time and found its way to our hearts. 1.5 billion. His message isn't confined within any culture. His message isn't confined within any religion. His message isn't confined within a country. His message isn't confined within a language. His message is universal. Imam Hussain is the only individual, that universal icon of freedom and justice and equality. That's who Imam Hussain is. And with his revolution and with his uprising, he reformed not just his own ummah, not just his own society. He laid the foundation. He laid the foundation for everyone to join him and stand up against oppression in every generation.
حياة ملة الله
هيهات من نازلة
حياة ملة الله
هيهات من نازلة
حياة ملة الله
هيهات من نازلة
حياة ملة الله
هيهات من نازلة.
His revolution is so powerful. His revolution is so powerful that it's been more than 1400 years. And people with different cultures, different ethnicities, different languages come together, stand united, and remember this man. All over the world, you will find the recognition and remembrance of this man. That's how powerful his message is. Imam Hussain, he emphasized that even after his martyrdom, he gave the torch to his sisters. People say Islam doesn't give recognition to its women. Imam Hussain, who knew the true principles of Islam, Islam that was founded upon love, sensibility, knowledge, intellectuality, generosity, humbleness, affection. He gave the torch to his sisters, and his sisters, the women of the Muslims, they rejuvenated and revived the ummah with their tongue. Wherever they were taken as captives, they used their tongues as the most powerful weapon and installed the love and humanity within the hearts of those around them. That's what the women of Islam, and that's what the sisters and the granddaughters of the Prophet did. And you find that once everyone, all the companions were gone, and you find that when his sons were gone, and when you find that his brothers were gone, Imam Hussain was all alone. He would look to the left and he would look to the right, and no one was there. No one was there. And Imam Hussain, every single time his son or his brother went, he would help someone get on the horse and have them and depart, and they would leave. And Imam Hussain, he looked around, there was no one to put him on the horse. And that's when his sister came and said, I will help you. And this was the same sister with her tongue revived his message, kept his message alive. When Imam Hussain got there, he remembered his son, of what these enemies, these tyrants had done to his son, his brothers, his companions. And whenever he would strike, he would say, you did this to my son. You did this to my brother. You did this to my companions. And he would strike, and then he was attacked from all corners simultaneously. Those who had swords, they would attack him with swords. Those who had spears, they would attack him with spears. Those who didn't have anything, they would attack him with stones, pick up stones and throw it at him. And at the end, Imam Hussain had so many arrows within his body that it seemed as if his body was lifted on arrows. But if you go closer to that body and observe it, this body isn't dead. And he is still alive. Because everyone come together and remember him. And a man who is dead, a man who is dead is never forgotten. And he is still alive with us. And now let's remember our Imam, and let's tell the Imam, the Hussain of this time, that when your zuhur happens, we will stand behind you, and we will observe every regulation that you set out for us, and we will stand behind you, and we will not leave you alone among those wolves that are after you. And together, let's raise our hands. Let's raise our hands and tell Imam Hussain that we're here. And let's tell our Imam Isama that we're here. Labbaik ya Hussain!
Labbaik ya Hussain!
Labbaik ya Hussain!
Labbaik ya Hussain!